right, just getting everything taken care of. All right, just getting everything taken care of. Okay, we're going to get started here in just a moment, and we've got a handful of people on. Welcome out, welcome out. Let me know if you can hear me and see me in the chat. See, we've got a handful of people at the moment. Okay, right on. Thank you, Chelsea. So part of this whole thing is you know, your ability to follow directions. And so I'm going to be instructing you on a few things today. But one of the other things is that I sent an email about this to invite a lot of you here, and I gave you specific instructions on your ad and then all of the metrics as well to send me with your ad. And I made it as clear as I could, but unfortunately about half of you just simply replied back with, hey, here's my ad, thank you, and didn't give me your metrics. So unfortunately, I can't get to those ones unless I get through the other ones first, because those metrics are what help me determine what's going on with your ad so I can help you. Just grabbing a few things here, we'll get started momentarily, guys here. Thank you for coming out. Let me know in the chat what you would say is the biggest problem you're having with your ads. What's the biggest frustration that you can't seem to understand that you're dealing with in your ads? And be specific, please. Okay, getting this all pulled up. Let's see. Where is that link? There we go. That's not it either. I'm looking for the link for the other chat. Josh or Matt, can you send me the link to the chat room? Oh, got it, finally. See where the chat. Okay, never mind. All right. See what we got. Okay. So people are clicking on the buy now but not following through. So Kim, so you're looking at you know, abandoned cart abandoners. Okay, cool. Good to know. Might be able to speak to that. Being able to target small business. Yeah, Zach, that's not it's not, yeah, it's kind of like if you've seen our webinar, then you know, obviously some of that is going to be done with your text. But then there's other ways. We'll talk a little bit about that. Okay. Chelsea, I'm having some people click on the ad, but they're not taking action on my landing page. So usually that means that you have an ad to offer mismatch. Because if people are not taking action on your landing page, then for one, Chelsea, is it an opt-in? Is it a sales page? Like, what are you trying to get them to do? And, you know, let me know that, and then might be able to help you a little bit there. But that usually means that whatever expectation they have from your ad, they're now going to your landing page and not getting the same expectation, so they're not continuing. Okay. So, all right. When to switch to another interest. Okay, Patrick, we'll talk a little bit about that. Okay, all right. It's more about like how large is that interest, how large is that audience, and being able to group multiple interests together so that you give the algorithm enough data and a large enough audience to do the heavy lifting for you. So that's the short answer. So Kim, I have a 3-minute 36 video about the course I'm selling along with a 2,200 character text that all lead to buy now. People are clicking but not buying. Okay. Could be an ad to offer mismatch as well, because if they're clicking all the way through on the link, then that means it makes sense to them in your offer. But then your offer may not be congruent. One thing, usually what I see, but we can talk about it. Martin, I was blown away by the webinar. Thank you. Cool, cool. Kim, I think I just need to make a better video ad. If you have people clicking, then not necessarily. It may be your offer. If you have the right metrics, you have your right click ratio, which you've learned about, then you should be able to at least convert some people. Now, if you only had like 40 or 50 people and it's a sales page, like understand that you may have, depending on the price of your offer, you may only have like a 2 to 3% opt-in rate. Okay, so a 2 to 3% sales rate. So it may just be a matter of numbers as well. Don't have those numbers, but good to know that that's kind of like where you guys are at. Just want to say webinar will be available for downloads after. Yes. Just wonder if I need to take loads of notes or if I can sit back and listen. No, sit back and listen if you need to. That's fine. And we'll be sending out a replay for you. Actually, you know what? Take some notes. If the replay is not that good, I'm not going to send it out. So I can't promise you that. So I would be taking some notes. Sit back and listen the second time. Chelsea, I have a contact form for them to fill out at the end of my blog post, my lead magnet, my landing page. Yeah, that's really tough because going from an ad to a blog post there's a lot they have to do before they opt in. And there's just so much there without really seeing it that can go on there. And honestly, the content you have on a blog post, I would prefer you just basically you condense that onto your post, your ad, and then from there, run it, right? Just run it from there and go straight to your opt-in page instead of having the step of your blog. Use the blog for follow-ups once they've opted in. But we've never seen good front-end results going to a blog post that has a landing page or that has an opt-in form at the bottom of it. Okay. Okay, having the same challenge with people clicking but only getting the 30% opt-in rate on the landing page for a free webinar, but I'm wondering if it's because we have only 2 offered times. Should I be listing the webinar times in the ad? Yeah, you could. You could list the times in the ad, but I would say it's not about the times. I think there's just probably more to dial in with your actual message elements in your offer. Might be the thing. It could be that you only have 2 offered times, but hey, I do it with 1. So I have an ad with 1/3 CTR all to CTR ratio and 10 relevance and it burnt out after 1 day. What would explain that? So there's more than one factor than your click ratio as to why your ad may burn out. Martin, it may have the right click ratio, but then you may be getting a lot of negative feedback. You may have people marking your post as spam, and that's going to be the biggest culprit as to why your ad burns out. It also could be that you're not using a large enough audience, and so who the algorithm is optimizing for to go to they may not be in that audience if it's too small. And so you may be choking the algorithm from being able to go and find the right people. That's another possibility. So something to think about. How much percent is a good CTR? It really depends on the objective you're using. And so there's some broad guidelines I could give you there. Is overall, if I'm doing something like a landing page view or optimizing for link clicks, I'm usually up at like 12, 15%. If I'm doing something like a next step, like optimizing for a lead, then I'm usually between like 8 and 10%, 12% sometimes in that range. Okay. And if I'm optimizing more for like purchase, right, direct to sale, I'm usually finding more like 3, 4, 5, 6, which kind of doesn't make some sense to some people, but that's the reality of it. So it can be, different objectives, and what you're optimizing for can make a big difference in terms of who in that audience you're showing the ad to. So, yep. All right. You're welcome, Chelsea. You're welcome, Lori. Okay. To clarify, I'm using this blog post to increase traffic. The objective is not to create leads. Right now, I'm simply wanting to create my custom audience so I can use that for my lead generation ad campaign that will run later on. Does that make sense? Chelsea, makes 100% sense, but you're not understanding what I'm telling you. So stay with me here, right? Chelsea, that method is outdated. Okay. So this concept of trying to build goodwill and good value with people, going to a blog post, is being taught to you by people who don't know any better. And I know there's some of the biggest names in the space, because some of them, one of the biggest names that teach that, I ran their ads for 7 or 8 months and got them way better results, and they still wouldn't listen to me afterwards because of ego. Okay. But I'm telling you that where you want to put that content is on your post. And then if you have a video views you can pixel people with, it's not really about trying to develop that goodwill and creating a warm audience. If you do it this way, everybody who knows this, who just knows this, you don't do well by trying to just do a bunch of goodwill and creating a warm audience by sending them to a blog post. Makes sense? Sounds good? It doesn't play out that way, okay? So what I'm saying is, develop your custom audiences through either video views or people that engage with your post, but put all that content on your post. You're going to get a better qualified person that you can target. But what I'm also going to say is that whole theory of trying to build value and goodwill and build an audience that you can retarget them later is faulty. And I know some of the biggest names and the biggest gurus in the space are teaching you to do that, but it's because they're doing that because they don't know how to do what I'm showing you, which is going more for at least a smaller direct to some kind of conversion most of the time, okay? And that way you can retarget people from your conversion-based, more intent-based focus. Then you can retarget those people. But just trying to go give and build a bunch of good value sounds like a good idea, but that second and third and fourth layer of retargeting and the amount of money, you'll burn all your budget trying to do that with people. This is like the biggest fallacy that I see big gurus out there and trainers make, is that you need to go pixel a bunch of people first and create a warm audience and then retarget them. And in fact, it's completely freaking backwards. Okay. I just got off of a webinar with a lot of heavy hitters where I was explaining this to them, and they're all like, oh my God, it's just a simple concept of the blind leading the blind. They don't know any better. This is just, they teach this because they want to sell courses, and that's it. Okay. But I'm telling you, that is a super inefficient way of doing it. And I know it's a little counterintuitive, but I promise you that's not what you want to do. You want to go more directly to still giving that value in your post, but then actually giving something on your next step by way of conversion, whether it's like a lead or something, go direct to lead, but pre-qualify them with the content you have in your blog post as more of a long copy ad, and then go to generate that lead. You would be generating leads for a lot less and more efficiently, and you would have better qualified people by doing that. So it's a win-win. I'm not saying don't use the content you have to brand and goodwill, but you're doing it on the platform rather than trying to bring them to your site to build that audience. Okay. All right. So how do you target the cold terrific? Do you cold traffic? I'm assuming. Do you suggest straight target purchase? It's never just one, usually, Leon. I can do different things there. It depends on there's not one size fits all scenario. I don't always go direct to purchase. I don't always go direct to lead. I don't always go landing page. It depends on what I'm doing. It depends on my funnel. It depends on what I have. But usually we utilize multiple entry points, multiple objectives. We have a portion of stuff that if we can go straight to purchase. We have another one that's generating leads. You're going to a landing page view, stuff like that. So we do kind of more of an integrated approach. Martin, in your previous webinar, you said that you've been moving away from consultancy. Do you guys still offer any type of consultancy apart from these webinars? Emotions often get the best of me when planning an ad strategy. Yep, absolutely. So Martin, great question. We don't do active ad. We're not taking on any more active ad management, but we do consulting. So we do hourly consulting, which is entirely much cheaper. If you want the hourly consulting, then you need to go pick up Code to Conversions, because that's going to be like, it's going to take me 3 or 4 hours at $800 an hour to really teach you a lot of that, or maybe 5 or 6 hours, versus you paying $9.97 while it's still special right now until tonight at midnight when it ends, and it goes back up to $19.95. You can pay $9.97 now, and you get all of that you can go through, so that I can meet you after all of that. So rather than paying $4 or $5 grand for the same training I'm gonna have to retrain you on inside, doing coaching or consulting, if you get the course, then you save yourself a ton of money, and Code members get discounts on hourly consulting, which I do. So something for you to think about as well, that if you want that type of thing, your first step is to become a Code member. That way you also get the Facebook group of people that'll help you out there and help you hold you accountable from those emotions as well, and be able to give you proper perspective. And it's way cheaper that way. Okay, so you've got a whole community to support you in there. So that's also just, but that's a great question. And for all of you here, just understand that, okay? All right, so, okay, so would you suggest I take my blog post material and use it in my email nurture sequence maybe? Well, for one, Chelsea, it depends on how big your blog post is and what you're doing on your ad. But answer me this: is your ad a long copy post already? Answer me that, Chelsea. Accountability for the win. Right on, Martin. Love it. I love it. Okay, so I'm gonna go pull up a few of these here. Chelsea, no, it has pretty short copy. That's the problem, Chelsea. Did you watch my webinar? Because what we're talking about here is I want to help you, so stay with me, right? Like, I can see you've really been a good student of faulty trainings, but which kind of, it works okay. Like, it's not like it doesn't work. It just doesn't work that well. Okay, what we've got here is better. So here's the framework in a nutshell, is that you need to do longer copy with more value and more of what you would do on your blog post. You need to put that on your ad. And as through some of these examples, you're going to see how this works as I go through and rewrite some of these ads today for people who've submitted them. And you'll see that that works much better because it pre-qualifies and pre-filters the right people and helps the algorithm optimize for better people. That's the whole premise of my webinar. So, I've said, take your blog post copy and put it on your ad, and kind of condense it, obviously. Get it like under 800 words at first, and maybe even less, but really condense that, and then send them to a lead magnet, because honestly, you don't need to do all that in a blog post just to generate a lead. You can do plenty of that on your post, and then send them that same blog post through email afterwards to have them do a deeper dive. But you're wasting your money not capturing that lead on the front end. Okay, Chelsea? Let's see here. I want to see this because I've got some. Okay, Martin, I've been in doubt on whether to get the offer. However, there has been one thing, and we're going to get into this here in just a moment, guys, but it looked like we need to set some context. However, there has been one thing that I've been dealing with. I tried long copy, but my CTR all CTR ratio crashed. My gut tells me that you know your shit, but I couldn't get the numbers. So Martin, there's a couple things going on there, and this is what I get. I get people that come back and say, look, I tried your template, I tried your way, and it didn't work for me, and it was worse. Couple things. One is, it works when you get the proper elements, okay? So there's more that can go wrong in a long copy ad than in a short copy ad, because you have more text, which is more of a chance that you say something wrong that turns people off. So you're dealing with a higher level of skill in terms of being able to do that. But that's why the code offer gives you templates, so it helps you stay within certain psychological barriers that help bring people through a natural process. Can you still screw that up by filling in the wrong elements into those fill in the blank templates? Absolutely. If the elements are not the primary message elements, it's not going to work no matter what you say. So what I would say to you, Martin, for one, is how sure are you that your primary message elements are in fact the primary elements for your offer? Okay. Now, if they're not, you're screwed right from that beginning, okay? Because no matter what you say in your ad, if it's not the right elements, it's not right, okay? Now, two is if you're just doing a long copy post, you have a chance to not be clear and muddy the waters and confuse people if you don't learn how to write properly on social media in terms of structure and style, okay? You will lose people. So it's not that maybe even your message elements are wrong, but you may not be very clear about your offer, or you're targeting the wrong awareness level, or you're speaking to the wrong, you're speaking from like a solution aware message, but you're talking to problem aware people and they don't even know your solution yet. So you could have an awareness disconnect. So that's some of the stuff that I covered in the webinar as well about the 5 levels of awareness. And so you also got to look at what your level of awareness is, and are you talking to the right awareness level? And is that who you're targeting? Okay, so there's lots of things here. I've had people go, I tried your way and didn't work. Well, it's not black and white like that. Like, my templates are not a magic bullet. They're a guideline for you to follow. And what you'll find is everybody that's in code, they use the templates for around 3 to 6 months. And then they get to, by that time, they're starting to internalize the psychology and the internal framework of how it works and how it flows. And then they start to write them on their own without the templates. And that's when real mastery starts to come in, because now you know how to do it. And then your win rate gets a lot better. So one time trying something, like, most people need to write 10 ads to find 2 or 3 winners. So to go do 1 or 2 and then come back and say your stuff doesn't work, I would say it may not be that mine doesn't work, because that template has been proven to work many, many times, but it may be that we just still need to nuance that and optimize it and dial that in and make sure you got the right elements, you have the right awareness, you have all that. So we're going to talk about some of that as we do these things today. Is that cool? You guys like that? Willing to be here? Have some fun today? Cool. So Brooks, we're getting decent traction for B2B SaaS. I got your email there, Brooks. We're going to go ahead and check that one out. Based on what you said a minute ago about optimizing for the next step, what would you suggest as the next step? Our goal is to do a demo, but that's not always the buyer's next step. Totally got you. Okay, we'll get into that. Cool, Chelsea. Right on. She's got it. Do you recommend long copy and like campaigns? No, I think like campaigns are absolutely freaking worthless. Don't do them. Okay, this is another thing. The reason like campaigns were created, and I know that this is what your big guru tells you, right? But I'm telling you, we spend millions a year and we're getting way better results than most people. That's why we've had clients come to us, and I have gurus that come to me crying because they can't get their stuff to work, okay? I've had to help a lot of them. And some of them are too egotistical to listen to me, right? They're still stuck and struggling and not making it work, but they can't accept what I'm trying to tell them because it's so different from what they used to do in traditional direct response before Facebook, right? But do you recommend long copy and like campaigns? I don't recommend like campaigns at all. Facebook created like campaigns for major brands and celebrities to be able to connect with their fans on Facebook. So when Facebook was just coming up and you have like a rock star that has a fan page, a like campaign was designed for a cheap awareness ad to have someone who already knew you to find them. And they made it like the cheapest way you could do it. This was the original intent of a like ad. And so, let's say a rock star does a like campaign and it starts to go out to their existing fans, not new people who don't like them or who know of them, right? Existing fans. So you could be like, oh, that group, I love them, like. So now you get to, and that's how Facebook goes, oh, okay, let's show them posts from their page. That was the original intent of a like campaign. You should not be using like campaigns to cold traffic. I understand that most people tell you that's completely like that's what they teach you to do. Do you know why? Because most of them are just trying to sell you a product, and that's what they were taught. And it's a classic case of the blind leading the blind. And although you may get some kind of little result, you really don't get much. And it's a lot more wasted ad spend. So cut your like campaigns. Don't ever do one again, David. And what you're doing is, instead of doing like campaigns or awareness campaigns where everyone teaches you to like do awareness, blog posts, videos, and then you video view pixel people, and then you're developing a large warm audience, don't do that. I'm telling you right now, it's a waste of money. You will burn out your budget. You want to start conversion focused ads, yet that your ads are valuable with valuable content, aha moments, and teaching in the context of a conversion ad. So where do I get my warm audience that I retarget? I run lead campaigns or purchase campaigns, but yet my ads, just like you saw my 20-minute video in the newsfeed, I gave you enough context and I taught you enough that now you, when you got this email from me today, you didn't know me before that video. But if I emailed you out of the blue and you didn't know me and I said, let me just critique your ad, you're gonna be like, who the heck are you? Who are you to say you can win? How do I know that you can even do this? But the fact that I showed you that 20-minute video, and then a lot of you were on my webinar, and you see, and I've been able to give you value and teach you and educate you when I emailed you and said, look, I'm having this special thing. I'm doing this thing as like a makeup for everybody. And, you know, we had like some tech issues recently. And so I just want to do this for everybody for free. And like, I got an overwhelming response because you guys already know me, right? Because I've already given you value. It didn't have to be in a like campaign or a cheap page post engagement campaign or cheap traffic. It doesn't matter. I'm still generating a huge warm audience of people who watch my video, and I'm giving them like more than half of the overall general concept of what my webinar was about inside that 20-minute video that a lot of you watched. So you see that concept? That's why you're here. Like literally what I did to get you here was that, not awareness with a video view campaign or sending you to a blog post. You wouldn't be here today if that was the case. So what I just talked you through, I've just proven to be self-evident by the process, by virtue that you're here, okay? So stick around, this is gonna get fun, all right? What I'm gonna do, so hey jerks, get my offer was a bad idea. I love it, Martin. Yeah, okay, so do you suggest long copy ad for product purchase? Yes. Dog leash, yes. Martin, I'm certain that your stuff works. Kim, yes to all. David, I'm using Like Amazon very successfully to build followers. Okay, so if you want to use like campaigns, fine, but do a long copy educational post. But I'm telling you, you're wasting money because you still have to pay to get in front of your followers. Back in the day, when the training said to go get a bunch of like campaigns to get followers, and then you can follow up with them with your organic posts, you know, back in that time, 80 to 90% of the people who were your followers got to see your posts. But then you know what happened is that Facebook came along with something called this ad platform. It happened about 7 years ago. And they started to let you place ads in the newsfeed. And it shifted within the course of 18 months from people who were following fan pages, that instead of 90% of the people who are following you seeing your organic post without you having to pay any extra money, that now 90 to 95% of the people that are following you now, you have to boost your post for them to even see it. So you got to pay once to get them and then more money to get it in front of them again. When in fact you can pay once to get it in front of them and do a more value-based post that also has a call to action at the end, where a small percentage of them will take action given what your model works and your offer is good, and that'll fund your ad spend so that you can keep developing more of this. And you'll still have followers and you'll still have warm audiences that are going to be responsive to you. Hopefully that makes sense, Dave. So I would challenge you and say that your like campaigns, although you're seeing some kind of response, you ain't seeing the kind of response you get from a really good long copy, epic, focused ad that gives value and it's conversion focused, okay? What do you mean like copy? No, like campaign. Yeah, like campaign. Don't do it. Yeah, Kirsten, I did a like campaign 10 years ago. I got 4,000 likes, but I have now people that are not my audience, so they're not engaged. Stupid advice. There you go. There you go, Kirsten. Yeah, because my thing right now, David, is you're building followers, but are they going to buy anything? I don't know what you're doing. Maybe you just want to build followers to be an influencer. Okay. But eventually at some point to be an influencer, you know, if that's the case, for whatever reason, you got to monetize them. So why don't you optimize for purchase instead and give them some kind of low price front end offer that funds your ad spend. And then the rest of them who aren't ready to buy won't, but they'll buy later. So just thought for you. Okay, Martin, this is good. One more question. I have a page with 150,000 very engaged followers, extremely engaged. They won't respond to commercial text. They respond to very personal things and transparency. Will code to conversions work for that as well? I've had terrible experiences with these things. Yeah, Martin, I understand that. Here's the thing. You know, I don't make a lot of promises, but I'll tell you right now, Martin, people are so freaking happy in our Facebook group that yeah, most digital info products, people are just trying to sell a product. They're just trying to make a sale. And most people are just doing it for the opportunity, and they're not focused on teaching and showing you the differences and helping you understand it. Me, I actually care. You'll see me in our Facebook group almost every day, almost every day. And I mean, I've even offered a one-on-one personal consultation for people who finish the course and actually post an ad and use the worksheets. If that's not accountability, I don't know what is. And I think by now, listening to me, going through some of this stuff, clearly I've been through this before. So when it comes to that, if you're deciding whether or not you want to pick up the offer, either way, that's fine with me, because I mean, we don't want everybody, right? And so if it's not for you, then it's not for you. We're not trying to make as many sales as possible. We're building something special here, and we have a community of conversion coders that are freaking awesome, and we only want awesome people in there. And so if that's you, then maybe you should. But if not, then, you know, hey, learn what you can and move on. It's pretty simple. David, follower street cred, and yes, that is definitely part. Sure, yeah. Telling you. Martin, I'm sold, dude. You're talking to someone who does a happy dance when someone wants to listen to my Facebook marketing rants. That's funny. Okay, so let's roll into this, guys. So I think you're all ready by now. James, getting people to actually sign up and purchase. Yeah, that's kind of like comes down to conversion elements. We'll talk about some of that. Simon, do local business campaigns need a different approach? Depends on what your approach is right now, Simon, P20. Does the Facebook algorithm optimizes from people that started to get interested in the ad or from the long copy itself? Both. There's so many elements that go into how the Facebook algorithm optimizes. I couldn't even name them. If your customer is an advertiser and you're an influencer, then that's why followers matter. Okay, so David, so you're an influencer. So that's what you're doing. Cool. Totally agree with wanting to build, like I said from the beginning, unless you're an influencer and you want to build a bunch of followers, but I still say that as an influencer, you're still going to want to give some kind of an offer and monetize them at some point. And so your process, albeit still works, I'm saying that try mine and you'll see how well it works as well, and even better probably. So that's all. Kirsten, how big or small does the audience need to be? Really depends, but we'll talk a little bit about that. David, long copy doesn't work for us, so we're on the same page. Definitely working the campaign you described. That's why I'm here. Carry on. Right on, Dave. Long copy doesn't work for you just means you haven't figured it out yet. So hopefully today will help. So let's pop into some of this, shall we? Let me grab. Okay. I did have these worked out. So code critiques. Okay, first one. Okay, so Zach. Let's go right at that one. Okay. CW marketing. So here is the first ad. Why does it do that? It doesn't actually show me the damn post. Where's it at? Sorry guys, I know it's a little bit of a delay there, but this should be showing up. Come on. It's not showing up for me when that share link, it's not showing up. Okay. All right. Zach, here's the thing, like when I say send me a link to the ad, that preview link that you get in your ads manager is the worst. You actually want to go all the way down. And Zach, here's what you want to do. You got all the other stuff, I believe, right? Let's see here. Okay, you got your metrics down here. All right, cool. That's what I was looking for. Okay. You don't have your CTR all on there. So Zach, I'm gonna have to come back to this. The actual metrics are not all there. I need the CTR all as well. I'm gonna move on for now. If you can send me a link to the Facebook post and send me a link, the actual number of your CTR all, then we may be able to come back to you. Okay. Next one. Is I had these all in a document here and I lost it. So the next one is going to be Danny. Okay, Danny Estrada. This should be interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Every time I click on these preview links, they don't work. They just go straight to Facebook. And so maybe it's because I'm clicking at them from my because it's only mobile news feed. That's why. Okay. Yeah, there's no way I can. Okay. Making sure it doesn't show up. No, it doesn't. I need the actual, like if you go into your ads manager and you use Facebook post with comments, that's what you want to click on and send me that. Okay. So Indie Films financing plan. Okay. So yeah, didn't anticipate that. Danny, go ahead and send me that. See if you can send the better one here. All right, Danny. Okay, I got you. Okay. So then Zach will come back to you if that's posted there by the time we do it done. This first one. Okay, so here we go. Sorry for the delay, guys. It'll be worth it. Okay. So Danny, are you a code member already? Okay, all right, cool. Just making sure. So I'm going to share my screen. We're going to look at this and we'll go from here. So the ultimate indie film financing plan. First off, text in your ad itself is going to cause issues. So you're going to need to take that out. You may want to put the ultimate indie film financing plan and put that down here and take the your out of here because it's a little direct, and use the ultimate indie financing plan down here as your below creative headline. That's the first thing. Then let me take this text. Let's go over here. Okay. So what I do, guys, is this is important for everyone to understand here. One is I take the text and I paste it into a Google Doc, and I change the size to 22 font. So I literally come in here and type in 22 because that's what mimics the exact what it would look like on a mobile in terms of the margins. Okay, so that's how I know. So I'm gonna just bring this up just a little bit. Okay, so I go to 22 font, and that's going to tell me what it looks like on a mobile, which is where usually 70 to 80% of your traffic is going to come from. So we always definitely optimize this for mobile because then it looks even better on desktop and mobile. But you don't want to optimize for desktop because most of your conversions are going to be on mobile. Okay, so all right, Brooks, gotcha. So as a producer director, I know how painful it is to work on making someone else's film great only to get no credit or reward. Okay, so as a common bond, producer and director, I know how painful it is. It's pain to work on making someone else's film great, and then making someone else's film great is the benefit, okay? Only to get no credit or reward, which is the challenge, okay? So I like the context that you've set here, okay? And I like that as a producer and director, this is very much like you took very good notes from this webinar because you did this in a way that was non-invasive. It was not a self-identification question. It wasn't a direct question. So this is very good. Now, the painful to work on making someone else's film great can kind of be the pain, but also the benefit. But what I'm looking for here is there's like the aspiration, like right now that you're connecting with them, but you haven't alluded to the mechanism, okay? And so in terms of the mechanism or the solution, you haven't talked or mentioned what you actually can get out of it or how, or even made mention how, okay? So that's what I feel is missing here is painful it is to work making someone else's film great only to get no credit or reward. So this is great, but where are you going with this? And wherever you're going, I want to be able to have a mechanism or a solution or an aspiration in there more than this. Okay, so I'm going to table it for right now. I'm going to read through and see what else you got, and I might be able to extract something from your ad. Or to sit on the sidelines watching person after person, many younger than you, living your dream, making films. Okay, so first thing here, you're talking directly to them, literally right in your second paragraph. So what we do with Epic, okay, right on, Martin. Welcome to the family, bud. What we do with Epic is here's our methodology. If you start going too direct too soon, then you lose people because they are not going to feel like you should be talking to them yet, okay? And so people get suspicious. So you want to continue with more of that third person or second person editorial voice, where or just sit on the sidelines watching person after person, living their dream while making films. And then you want to get agreement with them, like while we wait, while we sit on the sidelines. See the difference where you're bringing them beside you, like, you know, while we sit on the sidelines watching person after person, many younger than me or many younger than us, living their dream life, making films, living their dream, making films. So instead of saying younger than you, right, or your dream, and you'll change your on the back half of your ad, you'll want to change to that. So sit on the sidelines of a person many younger than us, living their dream of making films. Make it more personal, like dashes and things like that are not like conversational, and you want to make this more conversational. And then you want to make this active voice, sitting on the sidelines watching person after person, many younger than us, living their dreams of making films. Now, I'd be careful in your second headline to have so much, because this is, you kind of want to have like a shorter second, sub headline. So if there's a way to say something more here that's just one line, that would be preferable. I don't have time to go into that now in terms of how to nuance that. But what I would say is you don't want to slow people down too much with too many commas inside, okay? Because that slows people down in the way, in their rhythm, in the way that they read. And you want to grease the skid so that they slide right through all of this. This is super important for social media because people's attention spans are very short, and you need to have every advantage of getting people to still scan and read versus slowing down, because when they slow down, if they're not getting to the point fast enough, they're gone. So, but how to get started, it's very likely no one taught you how to get your own film funded. So as you can see here, you're already doing direct language, and it's just, that's not the way to do this. But how do we get started? Okay. Very likely no one taught you how to get your own film. Nobody really teaches how to get films funded. So now you're being more succinct, and you're not using the your direct verbiage, which is going to have people start having suspicion. Gotcha, Zach, saw that. So this way, when you're staying more editorial voice versus trying to talk directly to them, this is going to be less invasive, and people will continue to read it. Whereas if you start talking directly to them right away, they're going to be suspicious of what you're trying to do. That is often the biggest hurdle filmmakers face. Okay, so here's a great place where, let's make this conversational. Choose how to get films funded seems like a daunting task, and I'm not going to lie. Film funded. So every once in a while, this is the concept of bridging with ellipses, right? Now, when it's a complete statement and a complete thought, then you want to use an ellipsis. Different from a complete sentence but an incomplete thought. A complete sentence but an incomplete thought is where you can put a period and start the next line, because it's still incomplete and they want to see the next line. But when you have like a natural breakpoint like that, what I'm trying to do is avoid having 3 or 4 lines on a mobile, which is going to be like way too much, okay? Because then people start to get eye fatigue when ads are getting like really like when ads are getting read on a mobile, they get condensed to where some of these are going to be 3 and 4 lines. You don't want that, okay? Because then it looks like it's a ton of words to read, and people get fatigued by scanning below and seeing that there's these big, large chunks of text, and you want to avoid that as much as possible, okay? So you want to break these up as much as possible. Getting your film funded is often the biggest hurdle filmmakers face. So that's a complete sentence, right? And it's pretty much a complete thought. So how do you connect that? But if you go about it the right way, you have a much better shot at getting your film funded. So let's do this. So let's connect this, unless you go about it the right way. Now you period, okay? Now 2 to and a third line, a little bit on a third line every once in a while is okay if you need to make it work, okay? But now what I did here is I turned a complete sentence and a complete thought into an incomplete thought, but a complete sentence. Getting your film funded is often the biggest hurdle filmmakers face unless you go about it the right way. So the incomplete thought is, okay, well, what's the right way? So that gets them to read the next line. So let's see here. Danny, does that make sense? Let me know in the chat if that makes sense in terms of a complete sentence but an incomplete thought. Super powerful to get people to continue reading. You just can't manufacture it too much to where, you know, you cut off a sentence artificially and then people are like, why'd you do that? Okay, and you didn't do that in here in the way that you write too much, but there may be others that you'll see an example of that. Okay, now once you go about it the right way, you have a much better shot at getting your film funded. It's all about your film financing plan. If you have the right film financing plan, if the right film financing plan is in place, the film, make the mechanism the hero, it's one of our social rules of engagement, has a much better shot. And I would use, anytime you can use this or some other word other than the is the most weakest word in the whole English language. And you want to use things that focus the attention. So this is a context word, and it points to it points to something specific. You say this film, and now you're giving a specific singularized focus on what you're talking about instead of more of a vague, broad way of saying something that will help people lose focus. Okay, so yes, it does. Okay, cool. All right. This film has a much better shot at getting funded. They already know, you know, they're thinking about their own film anyway, so it's not necessary to be talking directly to them about it. If the right film financing plan is in place, and see, just too much saying the word film. If the right financing plan is in place, this film has a much better shot at getting funded. And then we don't have to say it's all about this. So now we're being able to be more succinct. As a global sales agent for independent films, I see financial proposals or pitch decks all the time that will likely never get funded. Now that's good because this is more of an incomplete thought. The problem is it's 3 lines. As a global, so what I would do is just break this up. I see financial proposals or pitch decks all the time that will likely never get funded. And don't even say will likely. In fact, you know a lot of them never get funded. All the time that never get funded. You know that. So be more finite and definite rather than will likely, because that's not as strong as something is or isn't. Okay? Take away the likelies and the most likely tos and mights, you know, or may. Like, take those out and be definite with things, because then those are stronger. Okay? All right. So all the time they never get funded. Business plans. Now here's another one. So here's another incomplete thought, right? And here's why. Never get funded, and here's why. So now, because this was a complete sentence, time to never get funded. But now I've made it an incomplete sentence by adding something that starts the next thing, which is, and here's why. Okay? It's just something to add on to a complete sentence sometimes when you've got like the next question. Like if you look at your ads and you've got something where you say something like that, and the next line is like, why, you know, then go ahead and put that up top on your next line, or on your top line before you paragraph break, and just connect that, because then that's more natural. Okay? You say this out loud. I see financial proposals or pitch decks all the time that never get funded, and here's why. So now they got to read the next line, because now you've opened it up again, right? You've opened the loop again. Okay? Funded. Now, what I would say, what I might even look at doing, because this even sets better context, And in most cases, here's why. Okay. Now, I know that goes down to the third line, but every once in a while, it's okay to do that because you didn't do that until up here. So you've got quite a few, a couple like 3 one-liners, basically a little bit of 2 on here in most that never get funded in most cases. And here's why. And what you want to do is, more than anything, keep things active voice, present tense stated when you can. Funded is past tense. That never get funding, which is present tense. Okay, funding happening right now. Okay, that never get funding in most cases, and here's why. They are plans. They're business plans with no business in them. Now, the other thing here is, if this is the only place you've capitalized your letters, then I'm okay. No, see, here's the thing that we've got to look at here. You don't need to do that, because what it does is it breaks state with people, and it looks like you're yelling, and people don't want to be yelled at. Okay, so people do not want to be yelled at, and so you don't want to be disrespectful to people because this is social media, right? So a wise, very well-known copywriter once shared with me that, let's see here, once shared with me that if you have to capitalize letters or underline or italicize or bold letters, then your copy is not strong enough. And it's the work of amateurs. So now, every once in a while, if it's the only thing that's capitalized in the whole thing, you could leave it. You're really trying to nail that home and make a point. Okay. Has it been proven to decrease conversions? Not really. But if you're doing it a lot, I just want to warn you, like, this is fine for right now, okay? But don't overdo that. Don't overuse that. If you're really trying to make a point and you have caps to try to make the point, then ask yourself, is there a way I can make this point more intelligently rather than yelling at somebody? And in fact, if you can, then do it that way. So they are business plans with no business in them. That's pretty much good context. And so I would leave it, but it's not necessary, okay? So let's move on. You can show how great your film will be creatively, but unless you include the business in your deck. So let's do this. Let's keep the line short. Instead of the comma, it's great to just make that one mini paragraph, right? You always want to connect these ellipses, but unless you include the business in your deck, no investor is going to want to give you money. Don't do this. The whole part of that I just did is the UC. Now the UC, it's kind of like these common things that you see in, I just said it, right? But in my context, as I'm teaching you right now, it's fine. But things like in fact or UC, like you think that you may be trying to get them to focus on something, but I'm cool with some of this, but there's better ways to do this, okay? And what I mean by that is more context words instead. So focusing words. And I would use something more as that's more descriptive. Instead of saying you see, I would say specifically, there are, I'm going to use a different word there. There are certain components, and I would even define that. There are a certain number of components I've discovered that greatly increase your chances for success. And I would warn from being too broad and vague in this sense. Right here, it's not too much of an issue because we're already very deep into the context of what this is about, but you don't want to be too broad. If I was more at the upper part of the ad, at the top half of it, I may say that increase your chances for your film being funded. I would be more specific with more context. Okay, this is okay for now. Just I wouldn't make a habit out of being too broad. Okay. Many times filmmakers throw a bunch of information in their pitch deck. That they think is important, but actually turns investors off. But you use they truly believe is important, but actually turns investors off. So use the power of context and phrases that set the stage for what you're about to say. Truly believe makes whatever you're about to read after it much more powerful, instead of think in all caps where you're yelling at them. Okay, that they truly believe is important, but actually turns investors off. So what do you include? So what do we include? You're making this about we, because you're going to work with them, right? So it's like you want to get agreement with them to be with you, not necessarily them being separate from you. So what do we include? What turns off investors? I would go, and more importantly, what will make them write a check? Yeah, see, the issue at this point is that you've kind of ended with like a bunch of questions to frame the webinar. And I get it. 9 keys to building a killer pitch deck, which is inclined to say yes. Avoid the common mistakes that most filmmakers make too. How to avoid the common mistakes filmmakers do, what they do instead. Okay, returns, okay. Why development is important, how you can start grooming your film for success from the beginning. Important, what will make them want to write a check. How you can start grooming your film for success. Okay, so these 3 questions are congruent with these 3 bullet points on what the film is doing. So I agree. The third one for me is still a little fuzzy. And more importantly, what will make them want to write a check? To write you a check. Now at this point, we're on the back half of the ad, so using you is a little more, okay. What I want to do here, this is fundamentally a little bit of a structure change, but so I'm just going to suggest this to you, but I'm not going to do it on the thing here, Danny. Let me know that you're still here, Danny, and that you're following along as well. And if this makes sense so far. Cool, okay, Danny. Okay, so one of the things you want to do here is rather than kind of go, all right, so let me ask these questions. And then now I'm going to invite you to my webinar. Instead, I want you to, this is where the illustrate part of the Epic Ad formula comes in, okay? And so what you've done here is rather than give a piece of real, like, tangible, actionable, measurable value, you've basically asked the question and then you said, come to my live workshop where you're going to find out about that stuff. But what you didn't do is really walk them through some of these things, okay? What I want you to do is like take these 9 key steps, right? So what do we include? The first thing, I know I wasn't going to do it, but the first thing is to, and then you insert in and give them a small win. May not have to be the first thing, but one of the best things. One of the ones that, like, when you tell them that, all of a sudden you've now validated your credibility and authority by saying, you got to do this. So give them 1 out of the 9. Give them right here, and then say they're going to learn the rest of the 8 on the webinar. But you got to give them that value, that aha moment, that validates and lands what you're essentially trying to get across to them, okay? And that you're credible to do this. So that's what I do here. What turns off investors? And then it's a quick response to give some kind of value, which is how to avoid the common mistakes that most filmmakers make and what to do instead. So talk about one of them. What turns off a specific action, or saying a specific action or phrase that says, because there's more than one thing that turns off investors, right? Give them one right here. See, what you haven't done throughout a lot of this is you're kind of like, you're being very meta, but you're not giving any real concrete things or real meat to like grab onto. You haven't proven it. It's like the prove it, show me part of the ad that says, I know what I'm talking about. Let me teach you a little bit of it now, just to prove that I know what I'm talking about. And so you do that here. What turns off investors? Well, when you say something like whatever, that usually makes them roll their eyes and they tune out after that. You don't want to make that mistake. Boom, you're giving them a piece of value. That quick, 1 or 2 lines, done, okay? And more importantly, what will make them want to write you a check? And at this point, something very simple that, they need to know that you have, all these 9 things in play, because it happens every single time. These 9 particular things, one of which I just explained, something like that. You can even refer back to the 9 things here. Like there's 9 things that make investors inclined to say yes. So more importantly, what will make them want to write you a check? So just give them something that helps them understand what's their major core motivation. And then it goes from what you're teaching them is not necessarily what makes them want to write you a check, but you're going to give them the how do we get them, what's the actual how-to, what's the actual process we do that makes them want to write the check. Okay, because right now you're just like, what's going to make them write a check? What will make them want to write you a check? Well, tell them what that is. They want 2 or 3 specific things that always have to be there. On the webinar, I'm going to teach you those 2 or 3 things. But see, with just saying more importantly, what will make them want to write you a check, you haven't validated that question. You always need to answer any question you have and validate that question in your ad. That's why most of the questions I stick to are usually rhetorical questions. If I ask a rhetorical question, it's kind of self-evident. Like when would now be a good idea? That's like a rhetorical question, right? It's like telling them now's the time. Well, with questions, the problem with questions is when you ask a question, you don't answer it, you leave them open to start thinking about things, and they start to lose focus rather than continue to read your copy. You need to take control and keep people here, telling them what to think and what to focus on. You don't ask them questions that make them kind of go, oh, let me think here. And then they stop reading your ad. You don't want to do that, Danny. You want to make sure that you're always answering and closing that loop. You're the one that controls the flow of their thoughts. You are the one that at every line is telling them what to think. That's the difference between an amateur and a professional. An amateur is like, hey, consider all the possibilities. It could be this, it could be that. Oh my God, da-da. No. Focus them. Singularize the focus. Keep them in all the way through. You control the narrative, okay? News networks do the same thing. So you'll notice that with news anchors. They'll like ask a question, they'll answer it right away. Always. So here you want to be like, tell them the thing, tell them the what, but then promise to reveal how to do that, how to accomplish that in your. So like, Danny, work with me here for a moment. What is the most thing that will make them want to write you a check? What actually is it? Tell me here, and I might actually be able to help you nuance this for a moment. Tell them what, but then promise to reveal how to accomplish that in your webinar. So now you've taken the first step and given them something. So if for everyone here listening, it's not about curiosity. you want to be able to give them something that they can wrap their head around, something tangible, something they can be like, yep, got it, value. That substantiates everything you've been promising me. And then say, and if you want more of this, then come with me further and take the next step. So the what is kind of like, a proven model that happens every single time. Okay. They need to see a distribution plan showing how the person actually plans to get them a return. Okay. I'm going to write you a check. It's all about a specific distribution plan, which I'm going to give you on my live webinar. You want to say something other than webinar, honestly, like live training, on my live training or workshop or something, right? Any workshop, masterclass, web class, webinar. A lot of people don't even know what webinars are, okay? And others who know what webinars are it's played out by them. So they need to see the difference showing how a person actually plans to get them a return rather than just going to film festivals. Perfect. Rather than just going to film festivals. Rather than just going to film festivals. Watch this. So I connect it. I'm going to give you this distribution plan and more on my free live training. So join me. Boom. Join me live. Well, because you just said join me up here, right? I'm connecting these. Okay, see how I connected this? Incomplete thought, complete sentence, incomplete thought. So join me. Join me in what? Live on June 12th. And I'm going to say, join me live for my ultimate film financing masterclass. Call it that. How about that? Film masterclass on June 12th or June 13th. On June 12th or June 13th. And then I clarify, we're doing it twice for different time zones, so all can attend at a decent hour. And you can nuance that, however, depending on your audience, right? You'll say that in your own voice. Live, 100% live for my Ultimate Film Financing Masterclass on June 12th. Link here. We're doing it twice for different time zones, so all can attend a decent hour. I'll walk you through my proven strategy for building a compelling pitch deck that gets films financed in this masterclass or training. See, it's training, so like Ultimate Film Financing. Let's keep it congruent. You don't want to say all the different ones there. Film financing training on June 12th. Walk you through my proven strategy. This online training. I'll show you, make yourself the credibility piece. 9 key steps to building a killer pitch deck, how to avoid the common mistakes, how you can avoid the common mistakes. avoid. I'm going to make this just sound like not so passe like everything else. Bullet points can be very interesting. You can avoid the filmmakers most common mistakes. Avoid the filmmaker's most common mistakes and what to do instead. You can do instead. And I would try to see if I could find some kind of a metaphor or an analogy, you know. You avoid the filmmaker's most slippery slopes, you know. Don't want to use ampersand when it comes to something like this. And usually the what I'd like to qualify a little more, and the strategy you can use instead. So instead of telling them they have to do something, give them a tool they can use, right? Utilize the strategy you can use instead. Now it's about like, oh, give me this thing, I get to use that. It makes it easier versus like, I have to do it. So there's a difference in terms of the brain, in terms of the brain deciding how much energy that's going to take and how much someone believes in what they can do right now. And if there's someone that doesn't believe in themselves very much, saying things like, you need to do this, you do this, and if you do this, they're going to be like, I don't believe in myself. I don't know if all these things are for me. But if you make your mechanism the hero, then they start to see this and go, ah, okay, cool, I get it, right? I want to use that strategy because now it's outside of them, which makes it more valuable instead of saying something they can do, which they take ownership of and don't see you as valuable for it. So does that make sense, Danny? Why development is important and how you can start grooming your film for success from the beginning. For the right funding from beginning. And more cool trade secrets on the live training. And I would even say, if you attend live. That way, if you say if you attend live, then you're going to get more people showing up live rather than watching the replay. Okay. Got it. I can see that. I wasn't really clear on the idea of mechanism before. Totally. Okay. So everyone else watching this, is this helpful and is this making sense? Let me know in the chat. And if you have any questions about it, now would be the time as I'm wrapping this up. Okay. Martin, totally. Zach, yes. Cool, cool. If you're an aspiring filmmaker, you want to get into filmmaking, this training is for you. Cool. So now we go into like who this is for. I want to get into filmmaking. This training is for you. This training is for you, so don't wait for someone else to give you your shot. Learn how to do it yourself and set yourself up for success from day one. Instead of how to do it, learn how you can use these tools that set your film up for success, for proper funding from day one. Okay, so now instead of them having to do it, we've given them the tool, which is what makes you valuable and them wanting to actually understand this stuff. So now learn how you can use these tools that set your film up. So the tool sets your film up for proper funding, being more specific, more context, but you're using the tool. It's not about how you have to do this thing, which will scare some people, okay? Yes, Kirsten, like make the mechanism the hero. You like that. The make the mechanism the hero is something that most even pro copywriters like don't even get, right? I swear to God I invented it. Maybe I didn't, but sure feels like it sometimes. Because I've never seen it in anywhere, you know? Click below to reserve your seat. Reserve your seat and lock in your spot. Boom. Click below. Danny, there you are. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to copy that. And there's a reason why I keep asking you to post, because I'm going to send this over to you. Here is, I'll paste that over to you, a certain number of components. So that's the first part. Certain number of components. Because it cuts off. Specifically, it's probably not going to do all this. And then we'll move on to the next one. 9 key steps. Okay, last part. Okay. Boom. All right. That's all for you, Danny. I put it in, I replied in the chat for you. Hopefully that's been helpful. Any last questions from Danny or anyone else if you have questions about this what I just did here? Okay, totally, Zach, James, yes. Chris, you're the Gary Halbert of our time. Whoa. Thank you, David. I received that. Don't know if I'm worthy of it, but definitely have the aspiration that I believe I can do even more good with this than Gary did with his. So although I have all the respect in the world for Gary and stand on his shoulders in a lot of ways, you know, there you go, right? Like, study them all, guys. Study the greats. Yeah, Brooks, could you please reiterate the mechanism concept again? Absolutely. So like I said, making the mechanism the hero is the difference between telling somebody they can do something and saying this tool will do this thing for you, okay? Because you're like in this particular case, as if you're a filmmaker, right? And you're wanting to get funding. If you say to someone, here's how you can, or how to get funding, right? How to get funding for your film. Here's what you can do to get funding for your film. And then it means you have to, you know, create all this stuff. Well, the feeling that people get when they say you have to do this, they think about the work they have to do, how hard that is, and the fact that it's on them. Okay, here's what you need to do. Well, that can cause fear and anxiety in people, even if it's subconsciously. If they don't believe in themselves and they're not confident in their ability to speak to financiers, they're going to be like, me doing it? Oh my God. But if you say this 9-point slide deck is what sells and gets you funding, because it really is the slide deck. It's the things in the slide deck that do the selling, not you. So now all of a sudden the pressure is off the person in their brain. This is going on in their brain, and oftentimes subconsciously, if it's them now saying, oh, the tool's doing it. So now the pressure is off of them in terms of they have to personally perform. Because if they don't believe in themselves very much yet, which is mostly of what Danny's audience is right now, they're aspiring filmmakers or filmmakers already that haven't been able to break through, which is their problem of getting funding. They don't know how to do this yet. Then that means they probably don't have high confidence. So if you keep telling them they have to do all these things, then they're going to be like, that's a lot. I don't believe in myself. I don't know if I can do that. But if you say this tool does it for you, then you're like, I like that. I just have to use that tool. It's like you need a nail It's like you don't have to push that nail in. You can get a hammer. The hammer hammers the nail. All you got to do is swing it, use the tool. It's a brain decision-making trigger that removes the, yeah, but I don't know if I can do that or have the time and energy to do that objection. Make sense? Hopefully that makes sense, Brooks. Okay. Alice, great tips. Danny, you said it was probably a mismatch. Ah, yes. Okay. So let's see here. I think that some of it is, but you didn't really build a lot of value through here. So that could be some of it too, is people are not going to go there and really believe it because you didn't, they're kind of curious, but you didn't do a lot of giving that value prop here, the value proposition of kind of giving them something tangible, the prove it points of those 3 questions. Now that we gave them something, then you may have something a little better, right? So let me go here and make sure this thing isn't all weird. Okay, now I like this. Get my proven strategy for creating a compelling pitch deck that gets films funded. But this, it's very, like, it seems like it's all very mobile optimized. Let me see here. Yeah. So I would say, first off, I would add let me do this. For one, it's kind of like one, film financing isn't gonna really cut that, is it? Okay. So what I would be doing differently here is, I like the subhead, proven strategy for creating a compelling pitch deck that gets films funded. Ultimate film financing plan. First off, I put quotes around it. And I know that's the title, but I don't really think that's going to help with, like, it's kind of a weak headline to where we're at the time where you need to give the strongest call to action. So here's what I would say instead. I would kind of put that as like at the bottom down here in quotes, like that's the name of it, but I wouldn't use this as your headline. So what I would do instead is say something like, ultimate film financing plan. What's going on here? Okay. So here's what this is. So it's not necessarily that. You need to tell them what they're going to get, right? So let's go more towards the benefit. Discover the exact process hold on, let me make sure here, because okay, my proven strategy for creating a compelling pitch deck that gets film funded. Honestly, that's your headline. This is just the title, which you need to put like in subtext, either right here above it or somehow down below it. So where I would say is, this is a good directive. This is actually a better headline. Proven strategy for creating a compelling pitch deck that gets films funded. Discover. This is the exact thing. So there's a little bit of tweak to this. Okay. Gotta love that. I like the get my proven strategy for creating a compelling strategy. Okay, so for creating, pluralize your verb that creates, and obviously you can capitalize all this, that creates a compelling pitch deck creates a compelling pitch deck you know what? In this particular time, we're still going to use the pluralize the verb, but we're going to use it. We're going to stay active here because the more stronger one is getting the film funded for pitch deck. That gets films funded, and then we need a challenge. So Danny, what's the biggest challenge that people say when you start talking about, look, you know, you can do this, and they're like, yeah, but I don't have this. Proven strategy, we're going to pitch deck that gets films funded without, you know, you could say without compromising the integrity of your film. Without selling out, yep. Which, you know, selling out, compromising the integrity of what you just created, yeah. To get your films funded without becoming a sellout. Single quote. Ellipsis, put quotes around it. That's what you're going to want to put on there. And so obviously, this is going to, on a mobile, this is what this is going to look like. And that's fine because you've got room. And what I would test if I were to split test anything is to do it, test it in all caps, but then also test it to where only the first letter of each word is capitalized, except for the word for, a, and a, and then that, because it's strong with the pluralized verb here, so you can use lowercase here. And I'm not entirely sure you need to capitalize that. So I would test it with it all caps, and then all of these just caps in the first word, first letter of the word, except for the words for and a and that. Okay. Without giving it away, Brooks. Yeah, without giving it away, that's another one, right? Without becoming a sellout, without giving the film away. So that's another one for you, Danny. Heck, Hollywood could use this training. Thanks, Martin. That's funny. So there you go. All right. That's what I've got for you. Is we put that in there for you, Danny. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Glad you appreciate it. Okay. So now the thing is, Danny, that what you may want to do is to be able to do this, obviously, you know, look, I helped it a lot. That ad's going to work, but there's more angles here, right? So here's what code does for you. You see, with code, we have 22 different headline formulas, and you need to be able to reach more than just a few people out of every 100 in your audience. So like your click rates here, they were your CTR all. That's right, it was CTR was 8.03, so pretty good. I like the headline, right? I like the headline you had. But some of these other headline formulas and code could very well easily get you up. You should be up over 10, okay? And so 22 different headline formulas to test, you could probably find is even way better than 10 in your CTR alls. The CTR link, you know, you've got like, you know, 8:3 ratio, so it's like if it's an image ad, the text off of the image is gonna help there in terms of relevance and quality scores. But the 2.98 CTR link through is pretty good, but it should go up with the fact that you did the prove it part, right? Now that we gave the value, gave the ahas, gave them some tangible meat that they can wrap their hands around, right? So you should be able to get your CTR link up a little bit. So if it stays at 8 for CTR all, then getting it to 4 is ideal, because then that's a 2-to-1 click ratio. So there's a little room there for that. And I really believe that it's just the reason why you don't have a perfect click ratio is that you were real thin on the value at first, and then we had to rework that, okay? So the templates in code, there's a couple of these that work really well. We've got the Better Way webinar invite, which really weaves more of a argument for why the case you're making is really the case. And then you've got the Rainmaker template, which is going to really help you empathize with people and walk them through scenarios so that they really put themselves inside of it, okay? So, but the big thing is the first module, the 18 social rules of engagement, huge, because then you're going to, like you saw me, like I've talked about 2 or 3 of them here, but there's like 15 more. And so you may, like between the training on the webinar and today, may have learned like 3 or 4 of them, but there's others that help you from not losing people and engaging people properly and keeping people's attention, like the complete sentence and complete thought thing. That's super important, right? So things like that, all right? So I would highly recommend you pick up code. It's already upped my stats, just using the little I learned from your webinars, already upped my stats. Right on, Danny. Cool, cool, cool. All right. Sounds amazing. I'm definitely looking at it. Right on, right on. And remember, guys, like what comes with this is you get an hour of this. Okay, so it's like everyone's looking at this offer going, it's $997 or $597, 2 payments. Like that's a lot. What you're not realizing is I charge $800 per hour for personal consulting, and when you finish this course and you create your ad, I give you 1 hour. That's like giving you $800. It's $997, so it's like you're paying $200 in terms of value. Okay, so keep that in mind. I can go much further with you looking at everything and in that hour. I didn't take an hour here, or did I? Close. All right, but that's how much we can get done, and possibly even more, because I'll look at your offer as well. So, but I think, yeah, Danny, like that's what you had as your pre-headline really needs to be your headline. And that's going to give them a specific directive as to why to get there. The title of the webinar doesn't even matter. It's what they're going to get on the webinar that matters. All right, Martin. I bought it because I'm going to make it back in a week, thanks to you. That's probably a really good way to look at it, is that how quickly are you going to increase your ads? So anyways, let's move on to the next one, guys. I'll do one more here because this took a little longer on this one, but hey, that's like, you guys got to see this. Like, was that helpful? Let me know in the chat if that was helpful, that to watch me go through and kind of like nuance these things and how many things make sense and how many things are actually like making sense for you, okay? Let's see here. Okay. All right, awesome. Checking chats. Okay. Was also a little intimidating. Nah, it's step by step in the course, Martin. Don't even worry about it. Anthony, makes sense. Right on. Postmat above. Yes, but we have Brooks first. So let's see here. I believe we had Brooks. Yeah. Okay, yes, because Brooks had all of his numbers. Appreciate that. Okay, so Brooks, send me a link to, I believe it may be up in the chat, but send it again in the chat. Send me a link to your the Facebook post with comments. Send me that in the chat, okay? I'm gonna pull up your landing page here. Okay, I'm seeing this. Okay, cool. All right. So I'm going to share my screen so you guys see the metrics here. And all right, so some of you may not be able to see this the way it is at the moment. Okay. So all right, Brooks, gotcha. So CTR also, I'll just tell you just from reading the metrics what I see, all right? Your CTR all is 4.86. Now, if you're going direct to sale, optimizing for purchase, you're right in the ballpark, okay? Could be better, but it's about average, okay? Your CTR link, average for code style ads, right? Your CTR link, 2.44. So this is, because of the way your ad is, it's kind of like just a simple kind of thing that they don't click on. I kind of see that as an image ad ratio, and you guys will understand that in a minute because it's like a couple second, type of video. So I would be looking for a 2-to-1 click ratio. You have that right now. That's very good. That's what you have going for you. That means they're clicking the see more to read the rest of the text. So you've reached 7,000, you're good there. Impressions 10,000, so your frequency is like 1.3 or so. Then your CPM is 79.26, super high. Okay, that means that we could probably be better in a few different places, but that might just be because you're optimizing probably for purchase on this. Martin, dude, 41,785 mails. Yeah, there's a reason for that. We actually have it archived and then it goes into different places and that type of stuff. So don't worry about that. So then your results, 58 leads, 5 demos booked. Okay, your cost per result, $14.30 for a lead, for a demo, for a lead to get an application, pretty decent. Okay, I still think room for improvement, but good, right? Cost per demo is 200. That's too much. So we have a discrepancy where you're only getting a fraction of the leads to actually get on as a demo. Okay. So Brooks, actually optimizing for an opt-in at this point. Okay, if you're optimizing for an opt-in, then this is too low. This is on the low end of an opt-in. An opt-in usually for a lead, you want to be up at like 6, 7, 8 minimum for your CTR all. So that means that we've got either message elements are not perfect primary message elements, or the way it's expressed is not clear. But I think there's clarity in there for the most part because you're getting people to click the see more based on your click ratio. Because you've got the CTR all 4.86 and then your CTR link is 2.44, which basically means 2 clicks on the ad. 1 click to see more and then 1 click to click the link, which is 2 clicks overall, but 1 link click. The problem is 4.86 for that is not that high. And so it may not be the primary elements for the audience that you're using, okay? Or they may need to be nuanced a little differently, or they may need to be defined a little more. Like I said, I haven't looked at your ad yet, okay? But I'm just going off of what I see with the data. So 5 demos booked out of 58 leads. 1 out of 10, like 1 out of 6, pretty much. Like you're not doing enough in your ad to pre-qualify them for this, okay? So your relevant scores, quality scores, 8 and 9, that's great, okay? But selling marketing automation software, okay, so let's take a look. Kirsten after run, thank you, Chris. This was great. I submitted my ad as well, but in case you were going to use it, you can use another one. Thanks for sharing your wisdom. Appreciate it, Kirsten. Take care. And remember, guys, Code to Conversions expires tonight at midnight. So if you want to take advantage of that, now's the time. So let's see here. Okay. Compare top marketing platforms today. Find the best marketing automation platform can be overwhelming. Yeah, see, that's like a very traditional kind of finding the best marketing automation platform can be overwhelming. You're trying to like meet them where they're at right away, but we haven't set enough context. So we've done the heavy lifting for you, and you're talking specifically, okay, to them, like you're being direct when you don't need to be direct yet. We built a free and dare we say fun interactive tool to see how the top 16 marketing platforms compare. Price. Okay, so no wonder your click ratio is 2 to 1. You only have to click a little bit and read a little bit. Okay, so compare top marketing platforms today. That's the feature, but not the benefit. So you're leading with more features than benefits in setting context. So I would be going about this a little bit differently. Okay, so let's Stay with me in the chat, Brooks, and we'll work through this. Uh, 22. Okay, so short copy ad. All right, Brooks, cool, cool. All right. All right. And then that was compare. Okay. Mushroom platform can be overwhelming. So we've done the heavy lifting for you. Okay, so we've got the pain, which is overwhelming. Well, that's like the, yeah, that's like overwhelming is kind of the pain of finding the best marketing automation. And finding the best marketing automation, that's the benefit. Platform can be overwhelming. So you've got like benefit and challenge, basically, or benefit and pain. So we've done the heavy lifting for you. So what I would do differently is, so Brooks, tell me what would you say finding the best marketing automation platform is the pain, but they already know that. So let's go solution aware. Here's why our marketing automation platform seamlessly wins over every other platform. One sec, guys. Yeah, still on. Yeah. Yeah. Here's why marketing automation wins over every other platform. Wins over stand, and then I'm going to go more like, here's where marketing stands out. No. Let me look at your page and see what's going on with you instead of me trying to wing it. Want to know how the top marketing automation platforms compare? Access this interactive tool to do a side-by-side comparison of the 15 of the top marketing automation software vendors. Okay, so it's looking at like the charts. Aha. I like it, Martin. Okay, so that's all that really is. Okay, so okay, cool. All right, so then then we can't go the here's why route. So we got to like talk about like what's the biggest problem, Martin. So let's go with this, right? So what's the real problem with most solutions in the industry? What most marketing automation platforms? What's the problem that most of them don't have? Like, what's the problem that most of them have? What's the biggest problem with them? In terms of people, when they're comparing different softwares, what is the toughest pain? Instead of it just being overwhelming, like what's more specific in terms of like, what I'm getting at here is I'm wanting to point out the kind of the hidden dirty details that marketing automation software uses to upsell you to the middle package rather than the low package, or to the high package instead of the middle package. Like how they coerce you to pay higher. Like I would want to come from a place of authority that basically said, you know, most marketing automation platforms like this. Most marketing Actually, let me put more space here. Most marketing automation platforms. Okay, let's see, Brooke. The toughest pain is that they're either huge, complex, bulky systems or they're too simple. We've built one that's adaptive so you can pick what you need for your business situation. Okay. Most marketing automation platforms offer a plethora of useless features let's go to the more singularized focused approach, offer only a handful, a select few features that we actually use. And then justify crazy prices with extra extras we'll never use. So I would go that route. Extras we'll never use. Sounds actual conversational, right? Then I'm going to try to grease the skids with more of a one-liner. If we only so it makes choosing. Here's how we choose the right platform. Choose the right platform for us. Getting agreement, making it about them. So we choose the right platform for us. Okay, so I'm going to engage. Now I'm going to present the problem, which is we have found, or we find, present tense, right? We find that, even better, active voice, we're finding that, that stops here, or is that too markety? You can, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. We're finding that more than half the features offered on any given platform are never used. Okay. Either too bulky of an offer, where, because you said to me the toughest pain is that they're either huge, complex, bulky systems, or they're too simple. We've built on that's adaptive, so you can pick what you need for your business and situation. So either huge, complex, bulky systems, they are huge. No, it's just they are complex and bulky systems that generally waste more time than necessary, or they are too simple and we find ourselves stacking together multiple platforms in an attempt. Now what I'm doing here is I'm basically presenting the problem and empathizing in an attempt to make it all work together. But it's never perfect. Not even close. That's why we created VBout. Is that what this is called? VBout. Okay. Okay. We created VBout. Where you can do side-by-side comparisons of the top 15 marketing automation software in the top 15 marketing. So I can do the top 15 marketing automation softwares available. Software available. Software platforms available. And correct me if I'm wrong, Brooks, but you probably you get to choose. Okay, email marketing automation. So okay. Select the competitor. Ah, side-by-side comparisons. Gotcha. Okay. Cool. Mission software platforms available. Yeah, that's true. Do a side-by-side comparison. Yep, don't pluralize that. Not the verbs. Side-by-side compare, or not the verbs, but the noun. Side-by-side comparison of the top 50 marketing. It's available. Link. Then say the automation, it compares these software platforms. And then you list them off, basically just either by numbered or bullets or dashes, whatever. I'd list them all off. So someone's like, oh, I have that one. All right. Or, oh, I want to try that. Oh, I've been thinking about that one. But you tell them right inside the software. Okay. Yes, that multi-platform situation is a huge problem. A bunch of disconnected tools that don't work well together. Brilliant. Never thought to do that. There you go, Brooks. This is the type of stuff that when you follow the templates inside a code, this is kind of what already comes up to the surface and you're like, oh, it's that. This wasn't me just thinking about it brilliantly. It was this is from proven ads that basically bring you to the point of, okay, well, here's the problem with most things, fill it in. Here's how we handle that, fill it in. So this kind of writes it for you in a way. The template will write these ads for you as long as you know these things, okay? And it'll cause you to think about and understand things that you didn't before. That's part of the training, okay? So that's why I recommend Code to Conversions. But let's finish this. It compares these software platforms. Boom, boom, boom. I'm just going to do 3, instead of 15. And then after that, let's see. Do you have any testimonials? Actually, after that, I would be putting another link after all those. Yes, we do have testimonials. Okay. Insert. Here's what name had to say about using our software. Boom. And then just whatever they said. Okay. Now, the last few things here are going to be in the convert section where we're doing like value justification, which you don't need to do because you're not like, basically you want to use the time saving element here of being able to figure out. So we would say more like being able to determine which platform works the best for you can save thousands of hours of headaches that comes with hours of headaches. It's a long thing. What I'm doing is risk reversal. 1,000 hours of headaches that come from choosing the wrong platform, in the first place. Choose wisely. That simple. Because it's a lead magnet with just like lead gen, this is not going to be like you're not selling something. So it's not going to be so crazy. Okay. So Brooks, I am pasting that in the chat for you. Okay, so you can save. What's the best for you? So you can save. There you go. All right, so you got the rest. All right, so we've officially been going really long on this. Now, I would be, you optimize for leads, you optimize for appointments, but honestly, like now that you can use this text, I would say to use, like try both, test both, okay? And I would not be optimizing for an application yet because you're just still trying to get the lead, generate the lead at this point. But because you've done more pre-selling and pre-qualifying about what's going to happen, okay, then thank you, Liwan. Hopefully I'm saying that right. I truly apologize if I don't. But this way they're more prepped. They got more, they're filtered more in terms of like the specific pains and challenges that they have, okay? So now you're gonna see this become a more specific person. Good, I'm glad I got that right. And these people are gonna convert better, okay? So there's so much more inside of code. You'd be able to play with this a lot and use a lot of different headline formulas and use the different social rules of engagement and play with this more. And you'd be able to use the Rainmaker template, which will, I'm just telling you right now, it's awesome. It would be much more of an expansion to where you can get it a lot more in depth, more than I can go to here, that you'll be able to define, okay? Brooks, they go into a 12 email nurture sequence after they opt in. Each one adds some value with a link to our blog content, and each has a CTA to book a demo. Yeah, thanks so much. This was amazing. You're welcome, Brooks. And what I would honestly say is take those 12 emails and use those as retargeting as well, okay? But I think you're going about this the right way. But also look at some of this blog content. Anything you've gotten a lot of feedback and comments on, if there's a way to integrate that into this actual ad on the front end, I would definitely do that. It always helps, okay? So, all right, I'll open it up here for questions before we just want to go through here real quick. And also, let's see here. Is it not working? Okay. There we go. So the important part for you, as well as, and Danny, I want you to pay attention to this as well, is when you get inside the course, they've got the webinar here that you can rewatch, right? Here, and then you get into the group, which is where the real magic is, okay? But these social rules of engagement, this is going to rearrange your brain as to how this, like the actual social, like the ways you need to structure your content, okay? And it's only about an hour, okay? So it's like together, like these are both like 30-minute videos, right? This is going to like help you understand what you need to do. And then I've got a deep dive webinar where we talk deeply about how a lot of this applies, okay? Where it was a Q&A deep dive webinar, okay? So the first one there I was writing was party atmosphere, because you're talking directly to a group of people, not one person, because it's on your newsfeed. You guys know that, right? So rearranging my brain is what my therapist ordered. That's funny, Martin. Welcome to the family, by the way. But then the next thing is like you're gonna learn about like the awareness levels and like how to determine which awareness level your copy is. Because if you get the wrong awareness level, no matter what you say in your ad, you're not going to reach them, because it's like a disconnect. It's like each level of awareness is a different language to people. Okay. Martin, thanks. Happy to be here. Already made friends with AJ. AJ's awesome. AJ Silver's in there. When we have another ad critiques like this, Leon, I don't do these regularly. So here's the cool thing, though. Here's the cool thing. I don't do these regularly. I don't plan these. Sometimes I do them. I did this kind of as a consolation because we kind of sent the wrong links to people for our last promotion, and I felt bad because you guys didn't get a chance. A lot of people didn't get a chance to get on live on our last promo. So a lot of you are here now. And some of you may know that, you know, if you missed the offer before, code to conversions is now $9.97 again till midnight tonight, rather than our full price $19.95. But here's the thing, Leon. What we're starting this week is our code critiques. So I'm going to start doing these webinars to code members only for twice a month. Okay. Now, when you buy code to conversions, you get 30 days. So you get 2 webinars free to be on. And it's with all code members, right? So it's like you get to see like people who understand these code ads, and I get on and I critique them and rewrite them, even for the ones who are using templates. So we make them even better. And I get from people that they learn more, just like a lot of you learned today about how to do this stuff. You learn a lot more about it, and you learn just by watching. It doesn't even have to be your ad doing the critiques, but you just learn by watching me go through this stuff and understanding the philosophy and the methodology, okay? And so when you get code as a part of this special offer, that's usually a $97 a month. We're charging for that $97 a month, but it's only for code to conversion members. You have to buy code to conversions in order to have access to be able to take advantage of code critiques. And it's going to be $97 a month for 2 webinars. And you get 30 days access. So you get 2 of these webinars for free if you join code to conversions by tonight. Okay. So that's something I think is a great freaking deal on top of the 1 personal hour you get when you finish the course. So that's what I have for you in terms of the offer, in terms of what you're going to get. But understand, like, you know, I've got these headline formulas. Like I showed you, this one was on the webinar, but literally I'm going through and showing you like the ad itself, the headline formulas. I got 22 of these. And there's actually more because we've got below creative formulas that go along with it, which equal out, there's like 40 of them altogether with the different combinations that you can use, okay? And then on top of that, guys, just being able to look at an offer, okay? Like this is the offer, and now the NNS 105% framework, which explains what you need to look at in the offer that then you go and put on your Facebook ads, right? So we've got the how to reverse engineer an offer, to where this particular part, I walk you through all the main points of what an actual offer has and what may be missing. It's a checklist of 10 different things. If your offer doesn't have all these 10 things, you're losing conversions. So when you have all of that and you fill it out in the offer analysis, then you can take that offer analysis and go put that into your ideal customer formula, right? So you print that out, and I walk you through it here in the video. And when you do that, then you get like, you get to be able to, let me give you a walkthrough. Let's see, the customer formula walkthrough, ideal customer formula. Let's see. Okay, cool. So like literally, like it gives you, like you just take everything you did in your offer analysis and you go put that in your ideal customer formula. And guess what? When you translate it on your ideal customer formula, when it gives you like the specific direction on what to do, then guess what happens? Then you go fill that in on the templates, like the direct to cart template. Then you just go fill that stuff in. So some of you got this direct to cart template for free, obviously on the webinar, but if you're not using the right elements, the ones that are in blue, if you're not using the right ones, then it's not going to work. So what you learn, I wanted to give you guys the template because everyone wants a template, right? But if you really are having trouble with making these things work, then it's because you need to define the right elements. The ideal customer formula allows you to define the right elements. Then filling in the blanks is easy, okay? Martin, question, do you experience that you need to use different language in different parts of the world? Not entirely, not really, because these are about the elements themselves is what really matters. Like, do you see like the black letters in this template? You can change those. You can say something different, and you don't have to use the exact text in that. You can make it work for your language and your culture. If you want to, feel free to completely modify the black text to work with your element. Tim, what's the link? I'll get you guys that in a sec. But understand that, you know, the black words are not magic words. They're just filler words. So you can modify those words to work for you. And you'll see that in a lot of the other templates that we have, okay? So what I will do is I will go ahead and let me give, so this is the link. This is what you're going to see. This is the page, okay? And the replay is still up right now, so that's in your emails usually, the last replay. And $9.97 or 2 payments of $5.97, okay? Like you said, like as of recording this, there's, you know, a few hours left, but not much. But this is everything you get, okay? You just click that button. It takes you over to the checkout. I'm going to go ahead and throw this in the chat for all panelists and attendees. Here's the link. For any of you who still want to get that. And it just lists out everything, okay? And here's the cool part. For those of you who want to learn all about our Ninja retargeting and our scaling process to set up the foundation to really scale without losing your ass on your ads, we usually sell it for $4.97, for $500 publicly. This is the only place right here that you can get it for $2.97, okay? So instead of $500, you can get it here for $2.97. If you don't pick it up here, the only place you can ever buy that is for $500 as an add-on inside of our Teachable account, okay? But here, one time, just click that little button, and it's going to add $2.97 to your payment. Even if you're doing a $5.97 to pay, it's going to add it to, it's going to just give you $8.94 for your first payment, and then your second payment of $5.97 will come through in 30 days. So, but remember, completion guarantee, give you 1 hour of private one-on-one coaching when you finish this. I mean, I can't really say that, like, there's more value in this than anything I've ever seen, and I think you guys will find that out. So hopefully you guys see the value in this. The link is in the chat, and the offer expires tonight at midnight. And if you're watching a replay of this, obviously that's less. You may be watching it at a time when we still have this promotion. It may be just training for you, but the promotion may be not there. So whatever happens, if you're watching this somewhere, you can click the button to find out if we've still got that special. Either way, even if it's not, at $19.95, it's still way more value than any course I've ever seen. And I do believe in integrity and making sure that we follow through with what we say and do what we do. So you guys will see that inside the group, that it doesn't end here, it only starts. It's only the beginning. So with that, we're going to wrap it up. Thanks for sticking around for 2.5 hours. And hopefully we'll see you on the inside. Take care, everyone. Good night.